right, folks, welcome back. We got a glorious episode of the BoomBastiCAST for you. This one's been on the burner, on its way, cooking up, rise into a beautiful state. We got it here for you. The great, fantastic. I was very excited to land this guest. You know what I mean, Peter Jason. And a lot of my favorite Carpenter films, a lot of my favorite Walter Hill films, just all over the place. He's been on just about every TV show that I loved, you know what I mean? This episode, we're going to lean more into the films than the TV show, but my God, has he done a lot of fucking classic television as well as classic film. And it's just an honor and a privilege. Can't wait to get into it. Hawk, do you want to say anything about Peter before we pop in?
Just that I think Peter is the perfect example of a lot of people that we've had on the show, and which I always promote trying to get on the show, are that when you hear his name, you might not necessarily know who he is, but when you see his face, you know exactly who he is. He is a character actor that has been to some of the best films and TV, and he's always there. He's always working, and he's one of those guys that always pulls you in. He might not be the star, but he's a star in our hearts. And sure. I'm not whistling Dixie. He's definitely one of the best. And when I heard that we finally got him on the show, I was extremely excited.
Yeah, The Driver, The Long Riders, Nice Dreams with Cheech and Chong, Mummy Dearest, Some Kind of Hero, 48 Hours, Streets of Fire, Karate Kid, Dreamscape, Brewster's Millions, Heartbreak Ridge, Prince of Darkness, Sunset, Johnny Handsome, The Hunt for Red October, Arachnophobia, Mocked for Death, In the Mouth of Madness, Adaptation, and Hail Caesar. Hail Caesar.
To name a few. That's only a few of them.
To name a few. But hell's to the yeah. And everybody, take your shoes off. Kick your feet up. Have some fun. Watch this episode of the BoomBastiCAST with our great guest, Peter Jason. And Peter, welcome to the show. So where did Peter catch the acting bug? In high school? Around high school? Doing some theater
Senior year in high school.
Yeah.
A girl had a crush on, talked me into auditioning for the senior play. I got the lead. I went out opening night. They exploded into applause, and I went, screw football. This is great.
Yeah. Now, that was The Man Who Came to Dinner, right?
You've been reading my notes.
Yes. Well, the thing is that I really keyed into that because I myself also did The Man Who Came to Dinner when I was in college. Now, admittedly, I wasn't the lead. I played Adolf Metz. He was the professor that was into cockroaches, very beginning scene. So yeah, I mean, I love that play, and yeah, it's definitely. So you played Whiteside, I'm assuming, right?
Great dribbling cow, woman.
Yes, I love that character, love that play so much. Yeah. And I can definitely see why someone would be so, in love with it, especially after playing that kind of role, which is such a scene-stealing role within itself.
Yeah, it was a blast. Yeah, that's good. That's how I got bit.
Yeah. We've had a few people on the show that came from they were doing football, you know what I mean, and kind of it went into the theater thing, you know what I mean.
I survived Carnegie Tech playing football because there were free meals, but I was still concentrated on the acting. I just played football because I was good at it, and I got free meals.
Hell yeah, we can't beat a free meal.
Don't hit me in the face, please. I got a show this afternoon.
Hey, don't mess up the moneymaker. Don't mess up the moneymaker.
What position did you
play? When we were shooting Deadwood, there was James Gleason? No, James, I forget, the cinematographer, the first cinematographer Deadwood. He won the Academy Award for the cinematography in a movie he made about South America. I forget the name of it, but James Gleason, not Gleason, but it starts with a G. He'd come up every morning. He'd walk in and he'd go, "How's my little money maker today?" It made you feel like great, you know. It made you feel really important. I love that guy. I wish I could remember his name right now, but I'm very old.
Well, it happens. You know, people don't talk enough about like the on-set, you know, how important it is to kind of know people's names, to be friendly with people, you know what I mean? Make it a good environment, you know what I mean? I'm glad to hear that with him.
Well, it's a family. You create a family.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? That's what happened the first time I went on stage with the Men Who Came to Dinner. All these people in my high school, we created a family, and the joie de vivre, the love of each other, it kind of rises above the play. It makes the play, it makes it bigger than the play. It's what I think civilization was formed by, because people getting together and falling in love and with each other and supporting each other.
Yeah.
It's just happens too little today, you know. It's just like we're all going the opposite direction. Everybody's at war with everybody, and nobody can listen to the other person. They just want to talk. So I'll shut up and listen for a second.
Did you notice any like drastic, you know, reservations on either sides when you went from football to the theater? Because usually, you know, theater kids and football kids don't really get along, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like
it's still a family. Football, you create a family. Everybody's supporting your teammates, you know, and the same thing in the theater. You support each other, and the ones who are the egotistical assholes, you know, the ones that want to try to steal the limelight from everybody, are the ones that don't make it fun.
Yeah,
take the joy out of the trip, and you start leaning towards away from them and towards the people who are there for the play's the thing. It's called The Play's the Thing. So it's not about Bob Jones is the thing, you know.
Right.
No, Bob Jones is a part of the play that's the thing. So if you can't get that into your brain, you're not going to have any fun, and you're not going to be around that long. I mean, there are a few people, you know, that got kicked out. I mean, that are no fun to play with, that nobody liked to play with, and their careers have kind of been shot in the ass, you know, the Steven Seagals of the world and stuff like that. Just, you know, just no fun to be around. So you hang out in your trailer. You wait till that movie's over.
Yeah. Steven Seagal's career was marked for death, I heard. You know what I mean?
I don't want to badmouth anybody, but he's one of them I will badmouth.
Yeah. Seagal's an interesting dude. I think that I like Seagal because I grew up, that was like right in my era. But yeah, you always hear things about him getting wild.
Hey, when he played the cook with 7 lines in the movie, you know, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's when he opens his mouth and when he has to run that's so embarrassing.
That's a problem. Yeah.
You know, when you got your leading man running like Donald Duck.
Yeah.
Here we go. Come on, man. Couldn't you get somebody who had a little coordination? And he's a bully. You know,
he is a bully. He's always been real beefy too. Like for the people in the action genre leading men of his time, he was kind of always like a chunky, you know. Well, I feel like
I'm sure he's not listening to this, but if he does, we're through talking about you.
Yeah. He's we're a big fan. We're big fans. So when did theater? I know you kind of were doing a lot of TV in the beginning of your career. You know what I mean? When you hopped off.
Well, I did a lot of theater. I did a lot of theater, and I helped start a group called the South Coast Repertory Theater, which is still very successful down south. I joined several repertory companies and spent some time with them. I did summer stock in Peterborough, New Hampshire, in the Millbrook Playhouse in the middle of Pennsylvania, ACT in San Francisco a couple of times. Theater was great. I mean, I just loved doing it. And I grew up out here in Newport Beach, which is about 60 miles south of Hollywood here. And all the theater groups that were down there, I worked at the Laguna Playhouse and South Coast Rep, Newport Players, stuff like that. And then I came up to LA and started doing theater here. Theater West, I joined them and we started doing a lot of plays. We did the world premiere of The Web and the Rock, written by Thomas Wolfe, but the play was written by Philip Abbott. And that was my first professional show in Hollywood and kind of got me my start. From that, I went on to Gunsmoke and Cimarron Strip and Land of the Giants. And
the theater, going around all those theaters is, it's like going to like acting school, paying dues, getting out there, meeting a lot of folks, sharpening your acting tools, you know what I mean? And then like when TV comes into play, did they go out and find you, or were you just like starting up auditioning?
I started auditioning.
Yeah.
I did a play down in Laguna. I did A Man for All Seasons. I played King Henry VIII.
Yeah, theater, like when I was in high school, like filmmaking was, watching movies was huge for me. Filmmaking was starting to come into my life, wanting to do it towards the end of high school. And like, I always wish that I got on the theater team and maybe did lighting or some type of stage. Like, I'm not an actor, but like some type of getting into it, meeting more actors. I'd probably be working with those actors today, you know what I mean, if I met them then. Yeah, I always regret not getting involved. I couldn't have done the theater stuff, but like I could have definitely done some stage. And I think the teachers direct. I don't think they let anybody direct, but I could have been an assistant to them, learned a little bit, So,
you find out what you like to do, and then you aim for that, and you try to do it.
Yeah. Well,
and people just help you along the way. If you're sincere and you're in earnest and you're not out for yourself, people will help you. Yeah. Everybody helped me. I remember my first season of Summer Stock. I thought it was hot shit. I took over the lead in The Rainmaker because the equity actor got sick, and I happened to know I'd done the scene in school, and so I told him I lied. I said, "Yeah, I know the show," and so I got to take over the lead at the Peterborough Playhouse. And I remember first night after I did it, and I went running down to the bar to meet all the girls and tell me how great I was, and I just dumped all my costume and everything right there and took off. Second night I came back and all my costume and makeup was out on the back porch in a pile with a note on it saying, "When you learn to dress like an actor, you can dress with the actor."
Oh.
And this character actor, Bob Alvin, who was the old master character actor there, he'd written the note, put all my shit outside, and I had to dress and make up outside for a week before I could, start hanging my wardrobe, putting my makeup shit together, put the little towel over it, make my space was like clean like everybody else's,
Yeah.
Instead of a pig star. The pig star is back, and that was a lesson I learned. But you learn along the way, and if they see that you have potential and you show interest in being a part of the family and making it better, they will come in and lift you up and help you, show you the way. Yeah. Pass on the jewels, as they say.
Exactly.
And I was very fortunate. A lot of these old actors. I remember Stuart Whitman on one of my first TV shows was a thing called Cimarron Strip. It was a 90-minute Western, and I was the young guy from Boston. I was coming out from Boston with my family on the covered wagon, and I was the wild young kid. And the first time we see 10,000 head of cattle, I turn around to the covered wagon and go, "Paul, walk!" And well, there's no cattle out there, but I was supposed to yell back. Then they're like 30 feet back, and so I yell, and then my guy threw his earphones off. Said, "Hey, you don't have to scream, okay? You blew us out of the booth here." Yeah. Stuart Whitman came up to me later, and he went, "You're a stage actor, right?" I said, "Yes, sir." On the stage, you got to do it. In front of the camera, you got to think it. And that piece of information actually carried me for my whole career, because I tend to play authoritative characters, larger than life. I mean, not larger than life, big characters. And the directors always told me, "Can you take it down a little? Just take it." Walter Hill
Hell yeah.
3 times in one movie on a big fat close up. I go, can you take that down, Peter? I go, and he's like, cut, Peter. Can you cut that in half? And Peter, take that down. And Walter, I'm doing nothing. Said, yeah, cut that in half. So me doing nothing is too much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's great advice from me. I also appreciated, them putting your clothes outside. It's that in itself is like a moment of testing. It's a test, I feel, because it's like we want you to respect the craft, but I think that's also like an ego check type situation too, where it's like
Totally.
some actors would be like, well, fuck you guys, and just never show up again. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, you're gonna treat me like this, it's over. And I'm sure a lot of them went,
Are you kidding?
yeah, exactly. It's yeah, it's good. It's not like they make you work for it. It's not an easy feat to get in there, and like you said with that family, it's kind of like you're accepted in, but you got to prove that you want to be there and that you're willing to give your everything for it with them before you're accepted into the family. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's changed a lot. It's changed a ton. I mean, the advent of the technology, number one, is like huge. It used to be met by my agent. He would meet me outside the studio, and he'd walk you in through the gate, and then you'd go into the building, casting building, and there'd be a series of secretaries, and they had a pecking order. And there's your 1-day line, your 5-day line, your 2-day line, your guest starring role, your co-starring role, your series regular. Each secretary had it was a pecking order, right? You had to work your way through it, and your money went up the same way.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was done then. And today, your agent never leaves his office. He just sends you a text or a fax or a email with the sides that you're going to audition for, and you learn those, and you get the information by computer or by cell phone, and you look up, the producer, the director, the writer, the star. You go into IMDb, you look at what they've done. If the director's only made 2 movies, you go, shit, he needs me, or if he's made 30 movies and 3 of them are great, you go, oh, geez, I remember that moment in Sayonara Charlie, when they blew up the bridge. That was really cool. Oh my God. So when you get into the room to meet with these people, and there's maybe 4, 5, 6 people in the room, and you're auditioning for, and you don't know who they are. One's a director, one's a writer, one's a producer, one's a, you don't really know. They kind of introduce you a little bit, but they don't tell you he's a number 1 guy, he's a number 2 girl, she's number 3. They don't do that. They're all sitting there going, all right, please. And it's like a beauty contest. It's like who do I like?
Yeah.
Who do I like best? And it's so you have a couple seconds in there to change the dynamic of the room, to make it, instead of them judging you, I try to find out that moment. I said, by the way, Bob, when you directed the scorpion eats the raisin, when you did that movie, how did you get the raisin to be there's all, oh my God, that took 3 days. We had to come into the sideway and we blew up the pop, and all of a sudden it's 2 guys talking about how you make shit.
Yeah.
Right. And in that process, it changes the dynamic in the room. It's not now no longer somebody judging somebody else about, do I like you? It's this, we make it like this, and then we do it like this, and then it's 2 guys talking about how you make stuff, or a guy and a girl talking about how they make stuff. And that's what we do. That's what we love to do. And so when they leave the room later on and they're voting on the 12 guys that came in, why do you want number 2? Because that guy, I like that guy. I want to spend the 2 weeks with that guy. Oh, okay. It's still a beauty contest, but you become a heartworm now, and you've gone in the guy's heart, and you've talked about the thing he loved and he made. The guy likes what I made. I made that. So you try to change the dynamic in the room. If you can do that, you got a shot at being in the thing. Because the hardest part is getting in the thing. That's the hardest. there's 500 guys just like me that are trying to get in that thing, you know? So how do you, without stepping on people's feet, how do you get in there? And you'd only have a teeny window, little teeny window when you get in there. Because they say, hi, this is Bob Jones. All right, Peter, read the thing to Bob Jones. Bob, the cow ate the grass. Thank you. Next. Hi, this is Steve Jones. The cow ate the grass. Yeah, thanks, Steve. And each one's going to read the same lines, the same way, kind of. And how do you pick who's the best at that? You know, they're all pretty much the same, especially when you've been doing it for 57 years. We're all kind of know each other. We're all going to do it the same way, the best way we can. And how do you pick somebody? You know, so you have to figure out how to survive in the business by coming up with your own method. You know, Stanislavski called it the method. What's his name from Actors Studio?
Oh, Lipton. James Lipton. James Lipton.
He interviewed the Actors Studio. I'm talking about the teacher. The teacher from the Actors Studio. Anyway, you forget his name. He was in The Godfather, and he died, and whatever.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He claimed that he had the method with the Brandos and the James Deans and the Paul Newmans. He had the method, but what they really meant was a method, not the method, a method. You have to have a method. So you find out what your method is. Everyone's got a different method, you know. Some people can cry on cue. Other people have to pull a nose hair out to make themselves cry, you know. So it's a method. You have to have a method, and it develops slowly. It's like working on Chevys. You know, you work on a Chevy for 10 years, you know Chevys.
Right.
You know, give them a Plymouth and you go, oh, I don't know. Fuck, I don't know about a Plymouth. You know, but if you get to work on a Chevy, and then you work on a Ford, and then you work on a Plymouth, and then you work on a DeSoto, and then you work on a Hudson, then you kind of, each one, you get more info. Same with each acting teacher is going to give you a little more of something. Everybody you work with is going to give you a little something. Try this, try that, try this. And it works or it doesn't work. You throw out what doesn't work and you keep what works. And you keep, you know, refining your craft and refining your craft until you find out, somebody says to you, hey, director goes, you know, where are you coming from when you open that door to walk into that room? Well, this is coming from my trailer. No. I mean, where's your character come from? Oh, from killing his mother. Yeah. Well, can we have a little of that on the entrance of the door? Instead of, hey, how you doing? I just came from lunch. You know, so it's like each person adds a little more about how to fill your character, because it's layered. It's just layers and layers and layers. The more layers you get on there, the richer the character is. The more you want to watch them. Lazy actors, you know, have too many layers.
It's true. I think it's that thing you said about being, you know, likable is huge too, because like everybody's doing the same stuff, and you know, the whole, you know, you're going to be with these people 2-3 weeks, whatever. You're going to want to like them. You don't want to be with people that, you know, you have fun with. It's not too much of a party, but like you're getting work done and you're having fun doing it. You know what I mean? Whenever you,
it helped the trip. It helped the trip.
Yeah, because you'll see like I've auditioned actors and they come in super serious, and when they come in super serious, you almost get worried a little bit. You know what I mean? That like they might have an issue on set where they just strongly don't agree with doing something because, you know, the character. I'm very collaborative with the actors. Alex will tell you, so like we kind of work it out beforehand. But like when you deal with a serious actor in an audition, you get the vibe like there's going to be a time where they're going to tell you no. I'm not doing, I don't want to do that. I can understand certain things you don't want to do, but like simple things where they start to like, no, my character wouldn't do that type deal. Which that stuff should all be worked out in the beginning. You know what I mean? Now, when you get into a character talking about methods and stuff, like what do you kind of pull from? Are you a guy that listens to music? Is music heavily involved in it? You do read into certain, you know, type of stories to kind of get your head into it? Or how do you kind of, when you're developing a character, how do you kind of go about that?
Well, it's different with every character, but I like to find out how the guy walks.
Okay.
You know, I like to start there. I like to get to the set early. I like to sit in my space, if it's a desk or a bar or a jail or a firehouse or wherever the set is, whatever I'm playing, I like to go early. That way I can, number one, because I play a lot of parts where I'm just on for a day or just on for a couple of days, and there's already a family created. It's a whole company is already a family, and they're already there, and they're already friends. And this intruder walks in, right, for a day, and I'm supposed to play an authority figure mostly. So I got to walk in a day and take over. It's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
So I like to go early. I like to see everybody on the set and see who I know. I know the medic. I worked with him before. I go over and say hi. I worked with that grip before. And some people walk up to me and say, hey, Pete, hey, Bill. Yeah, we worked on that. Oh, yeah. And I say, if you're there early, you can find out people you've worked with. And all of a sudden, the family you start to create a little family. Yeah, you have fans already. You have friends that are like you, people that are rooting for you. You come in and you make yourself more comfortable. And so the more comfortable you are, the easier it is to let that creative process work. And then I slowly, sit at my desk and does this drawer work? What's in that? Is my cup of coffee? Use that cup, and you find out the stuff that's there that you can play with. Yeah. And then, so by the time the director doesn't have time to come over and say, listen, when you do that, pick up your coffee cup, and they just say action, and you try to fill in the time before he says cut, and with hopefully saying the correct lines. But if you're there early, I find that I can be way more comfortable, and I can kind of give them what they want a little more. But I have no really way of building it. I just start at the beginning and try to get as deep into the guy as I can.
Yeah.
And I like to rehearse, but I don't like to be over rehearsed.
Yeah.
On Deadwood, we learned that they gave us a script that morning, and we just went to each other's trailers and learned it as fast as we could, and then you took it up, and it's like doing a play live, improvisational practically, except you have to say the lines.
Right.
So we rehearsed the lines. That was a test, and it was a blast. We loved doing it because it brought together everything that we were trained to do.
Yeah.
I think all of us that have done theater love theater more than anything.
Yeah. Deadwood's a great show too, Con Stapleton, classic character, big fan. It must have been cool to kind of jump back into Deadwood came out early 2000s, and being a Western, you weren't really seeing too much of it at that point. I think we've come back to Westerns a little bit more since then, but that was the deal. Deadwood's a great show. The movie came out as well a couple years later, a little more than a couple years, I think. It's they do, yeah. I don't know why they choose. They wait a little bit to put out the movies. Sopranos did it too, which I thought was interesting. Where the series ended, and then 10 years later or so they do the movie, which is you'd think you'd want to do it a little.
The prequel, sooner. Wasn't it?
Huh?
Was it a prequel with his son?
Yeah, it was. Wasn't that?
Yeah,
good?
it was. Yeah, it was a prequel with that actually had his actual son. His actual son played the younger version of him in Many Saints of Newark, I think was the
name. Did you see it?
I haven't seen it. I've seen the trailer, and yeah.
I mean, I seen it. It was good, but I don't think it. If you're a typical fan of The Sopranos, I don't think it gave you kind of what you wanted, what you got from the show. You know what I mean?
I don't think the movie The Deadwood did either.
Yeah, but it's they're kind of both of those movies are. I mean, they're just they're companion pieces to the show. It's almost I wouldn't want to say a fan film, because they're obviously not, but it's kind of they're just giving the fans one last hurrah type thing.
Thrown together that last hurrah. You're absolutely right. I feel that way too.
Yeah, but they wait too long. Now, was it Surviving? You worked with Gandolfini, right? And was it Surviving Christmas or Saving Christmas?
Oh, he was in that. That's right. I didn't work with him. I worked with Ben Affleck. I played his boss at the beginning of the movie when he's trying to sell some alcoholic cocoa drink or something like
Yeah.
drink, some eggnog, alcoholic eggnog or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was selling, but he wanted. I think I turned him down, but it was fun working with him because he likes to ad lib, and he's sharp as a tack and fast as could be, and intimidating. So everybody at the table, the director said, you open up for ad lib or anything you want to do. And he took off, and no one at the table said a word. And it was like, oh my God, I got to take this on myself. And so I just jumped in and started going with him, and it was really fun. Had a blast with him, and not one person at the table said a word. It was like a 2-character scene,
I could only imagine when people go into improv, especially at a table read where the writers are there and stuff. It's kind of like I bet there's like a weird, I don't know, it depends on the writer, I guess, where if people just like kind of ixnay what they've did and go in their own direction, and then it's kind of intimidating as another actor because it's weird. You're like, I got to keep up with this person. But do you think about the writers at all when you're improvising?
These weren't writers; these were actors who were at the table in the scene.
Are the writers there usually at the table read? Or
no, there weren't any writers. This is an action, and we're doing the scene.
Oh, okay, all right.
Some of them are extras, some of them are actors, some of them, but they gave them all permission to talk during this improv of him trying to sell this thing. I happen to be the chairman of the board of the thing that he's selling, but I should have been the guy talking most of the time, but they had permission to join in and jump in, and no one took it. Not a soul jumped in. Excuse me, man. No, shut up. That didn't even happen. It was like, but he was cool. He was really, really bright and sharp and fast and funny.
Yeah,
very funny. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we love Affleck. He's a Boston boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Him and Damon, if I was an actor, I'd be worried because you feel like if an actor is just going off the top like that, cameras are rolling, it's like you almost don't want to get into it because what if you blow them off their rhythm or something? You know what I mean?
Well, you got to get into it. Otherwise, you blow them off their rhythm. If you're not listening, it's all about listening.
Yeah.
If you're listening, you're going to say what you need to say at the right time you need to say it. Yeah. But if you're like, wow, if you're just waiting to say something, that's not going to happen. But if you're actually listening and you're going, sometimes you don't even have to say anything.
Yeah.
All you have to do is listen.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's good stuff.
I love doing improv. I love improv.
Improv, it's great when it's done.
We did a lot of it in with Louis Anderson in
Baskets.
Baskets. There was so much.
Yes.
Oh my God. God love Louis. He was so great. Yeah. And Jonathan Cressell, the director, had Zach and Louis. We'd all do the scene as written. We'd do the scene as written a couple of times. So they had that, and then free form. You say anything you want, and those two, they'd just take off like, and you just try to catch them. You just try to, hey, hang on, whoa, you ride that pony until it dropped. And they'd go anywhere. They just, go off in some trail that you'd have to just try to figure out how to get there and hang on. It was fun. It was really fun. That's when acting is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Louis got the comedy background, so he's used to working like on his feet, right after coming up on the moment, you know what I mean, to kind of work out of a situation or whatever. Was your first feature-length film Rio Blomo?
Yeah.
Now that was Howard Hawks' last film, right?
Yes.
How was it working with Howard Hawks? He's such a legendary director. I mean, we'll talk about John Carpenter in a little bit, and I know he's hugely influenced by Hawks. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, that's one of the reasons I got to work with Carpenter was because I worked with Hawks.
I had a feeling that there would be something like that because he's
his wife, John's wife, I'd worked with on The Long Riders. She was the script supervisor on The Long Riders, and she was a problem, and Tim Rosovich and I helped her out with, and she never forgot it. And later on, after on Starman, she met John and married him, and she mentioned me to her husband, you know, and John brought me in for Prince of Darkness. And that's how I got into that company. I ended up doing 8 movies for John and becoming part of his family. I did, you know, Walter Hill was my, Frank Marshall introduced me to Walter Hill on The Driver. I ended up doing 13. I ended up doing 13 for Walter, and became part of his family. And Frank Marshall's another one. I ended up doing 5 or 6 movies for Frank because we grew up together, and he got me in with Walter, and on The Driver, he took me, he called me up. Yeah, he got me in the Raiders of the Lost Ark too, which nobody even knows I was in because I was not credited. But after they'd made the movie, Frank calls me up and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "Okay, listen, we're on a submarine down in Long Beach Harbor. Can you get down here Saturday?" I said, "Sure." You know, so I drove down there, and they shot the movie already. The movie was done. It's over. Everyone had gone back home to England and wherever. But they never shot the sequence on the submarine because they couldn't get a World War II submarine, right? They finally got one. It was down in Long Beach Harbor. And I came down there, and if you remember the Nazi with the burn on his hand, and well, I played him on the submarine. So they gave me a handkerchief and patted me, you know, made me look a little heavier. And I played him in the submarine all the seasons. And if you've never been in a submarine, it's like, you know, you just bump, and a cameraman trying to get a camera and shooting around in the submarine was like ridiculous. But yeah, well, that was one of the first things I shot with Frank was that, and Spielberg, and it was pretty fun.
How was Spielberg? Was he on set? He was producing.
Of course. He directed it.
He directed it. Yeah, I lost my mind for a second. How is dealing with Spielberg as a director? You know, he's gigantic. You know,
well, it's like playing with someone on the playground. You know, it's like he's a kid. You know, he's just. In fact, one of my favorite moments was on Arachnophobia, when I was standing on the set, and Steven, I think, was one of the producers of it. He came up to visit. We were up in somewhere up there in Northern California, and well, the fictitious town was Canaima, but it was really Cambria, California. And we were up in Cambria, and he came to the set to visit. And there were several kids in the movie. Jeff Daniels' kids, and Harley Jane Kozak were the husband and wife, and they had kids. And there were some local kids in the neighborhood. So the kids are all standing around, 4 or 5 of them, standing over there by the coffee and by the craft service, and Spielberg's there talking to them. And as you see 5 or 6 kids and Spielberg kind of talking and kicking their feet in the ground and kind of uncomfortable, standing there kind of doing like this, and kind of like, and I just stood off on the side and watched, because it was like 7 kids hanging out talking about their marble collection or something, you know. And yeah, well, you know, I got a Puri and I got a bullseye agate. Oh yeah, I got a Steely. Oh, you got a Steely? Yeah, yeah. Well, we should set up a gallery. Yeah, maybe it was. And they were just standing around, all talking, and it was like they were on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, that was kind of like what it was like working with Steven. He's childlike. You know, not childish.
Right.
Childlike. And I remember I did another show with my TV show. I think it was his first TV show, maybe.
Amazing Stories.
Amazing Stories, right. And it was Kevin Costner's first guest starring role. It was called The Mission. And I played the commander, and I'm up in the tower talking to him, and the plane didn't have any wheels on it. It's going to crash and blow up. And so, and the machine gunner in the back happened to be a cartoonist, and he drew yellow cartoon tires on it, like Mickey Mouse big tires. And the plane lands on these rubber yellow tires, bang, 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 and it lands softly, and then they disappear, boom, and it falls to the ground, right? And that was kind of the story of the deal. And I'm up on the tower going, they're going to crash and burn. They're all going to die. Well, now I lay me down to sleep. And he wanted me to do that little poem that John Wayne did in something. I don't know what. No, that's Gone with the Wind. What was the one? The High and the Mighty. Kind of like that. And he wanted me to do this prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And but he had his hand on me. The camera's right here on me, and he'd squeeze and move and faster, slower. And I'm now, and he kind of direct you with his hand, right? And no one had ever done that before, to me, and it was strangely fun. It was like, wow. It's like being a horse, and he's and he that were the reins, and he'd hold you back, let you go, hold you back, and it was really, really fun.
So I wanted John Carpenter. I love John Carpenter, man.
He's always spoken very highly of you.
I got to pause for a second because even though that's a lie, I took that to my heart and it made me happy. You know what I mean? Now, I know you've done a lot of films with him, and his wife introduced you guys. Do you remember the first time you met him, in person? How that went down?
Yes.
How is John Carpenter as a person? Because when I see him in interviews, I love him to death. He seems super serious. But I know that behind the scenes, I bet he's a kid. You know what I mean?
He's
in a good way.
He doesn't like actors. I think he loves actors, but he says he doesn't like actors.
Yeah.
I hate actors. He says. Yet he surrounds himself with actors all the time. And I think he just loves actors. And I think he wants to be an actor. In fact, he's been an actor in several of his shows. One of The Village of the Damned, he had a little part in it. Yes. And in the trilogy, the Body Bags. Yeah. Body Bags, he played the Crypt Master or whatever the hell he was with Tom Arnold. Yeah. The two of them are the corpses. Tom's a mortician, I think, and he's the corpse or something like that. Yeah, he's the corpse, and he turns into a crypt keeper type character that kind of narrates. Exactly. And but John, I first met after Sandy told him about me, and so he brought me into his office. And I went in, and he said, "My wife speaks highly of you, and I'd like you to." Here's a script I'm working on. It's a horror. I make horror movies, and this is sci-fi horror kind of. He says, "This is. I'd like you to read it and take it home, and then come back and tell me what you think about it." Nobody asks me to do that. Yeah, yeah. Tell me what to do. Stand there and say this. Oh, okay. They give you the script, and it's already there, and you do what they tell you. But nobody says, take this home and read it and tell me what you want to do with it. I wasn't at the level of an actor, and I'd never done it before. So I had no idea what to do. So I called David Warner, a dear friend of mine who just passed away this last week.
Rest in peace, yeah.
He just passed away last week in England, and he was a dear friend. Sorry. I called him up. He'd made a lot of these kind of movies. Mm-hmm. This was a zombie movie, a kind of a horror zombie. These guys turn into zombies and come back and kill people or whatever the hell. And vampires or zombies. I don't know what that difference is. Anyway, I said, David, you've done a bunch of these movies. I said, what do I want to do with this movie, with this character? And he's read it. And he goes, oh, I'll tell you, what I've always wanted to do? Play one of these guys who's killed like that. And when he comes back, and it's very painful death because they spray this stuff in your mouth and you die in agony. You're just in agony when you die. And when you come back to life, you're still in agony, but you gotta kill these people. And so you're a sympathetic killer, and the audience will love you because you're sympathetic, and you don't really want to kill them, but you do anyway. So he says, "Oh, I'd love to play that part. It's a great part." I said, "Oh, what a great idea! Thank you." Well, I took it home. I reread it with that in mind, right? And I thought, that's great. And in the process of doing that, I went, oh, what if I did it this way? And I came up with another idea about how to play this guy. Now I know what he's talking about, and so the third time I read through it, I said, oh my God, what if I play, how many people did this happens to 7? So it's the 7 deadly sins. I said, what if I was lust and I came back as lust? I got to play this guy's lust, and everybody else is playing their, greed and whatever the 7 deadly sins are. And so I said, okay, I'm ready to go in. So I called Carpenter and I said, yeah, I'd come in and chat about it. I came in and I told him the story about David, and he loves David. And he said, oh, God, that's a great idea. Perfect. That's what I said. Wait, I got more. And I gave him the next one. He went, oh, no, I don't like that. I said, oh, and I gave him the next one. He said, there's 7 of them? And I said, yeah. I said, you wrote it. He said, yeah, but I didn't count them. So he goes, 7 deadly sins. Oh God, I love that idea. That's a great idea. No. I'm gonna have to change everything. It's gonna cost me money. I have to do a rewrite. No, I can't. I can't do that. No. Let's just go with 7 deadly sins. That's so good. Another movie. Why don't we just do the David one? And I said, great, fine, whatever. I'm in the movie, so what the hell do I care? Do it any way you want me to do. And that was our first movie together.
Yeah.
And I just loved the way he worked. And he respects actors who come in prepared.
Yeah.
He doesn't appreciate actors who come in unprepared. And it happened on several movies that I was on with him when the actor, the big star actor or actress, came in and was unprepared.
Oh, jeez.
And havoc was wreaked. The shit will hit the fan if you come in and you don't know your line. You only have two things to do as an actor. 2 things to do: show up on time and know your lines.
Right.
You don't even have to be good.
Yeah.
But those 2 things you have to do. You have to show up on time. And Frank Sinatra used to say, if you're not early, you're late. So show up on time and know your lines. Those 2 things, right? And if you show up late and you don't know your lines,
double trouble. Yeah.
I will hang you out to dry, sucker. You will be drying and dripping until you ain't got a secretive bone in your body.
See, now I understand why he says he doesn't like actors, because I don't blame him in a situation like that. A lot of money is at stake. You show up and you got to work with them, learning their an actor learning their lines on set is kind of a weird deal. You know what I mean? You're right. You show up and you know your lines, and that's the vibe. Prince of Darkness is a great film. Very scary. It's very scary. The makeup job is horrifying. The whole vomiting into the mouth thing, I was blown away by when I first seen that. I was like, that's so original and creepy, and you don't want that to happen. Yeah. So
and Donald Pleasance, God, love that guy. Yeah. He was so much fun to do. And he was over here visiting from England, right, when we made that movie. And so I had to pick him up. Sandy, I had this big old Cadillac that Orson Welles gave me for non-payment, and I had this 1970 Caddy convertible, maroon. It was a beautiful car. And so John or Sandy said, can you pick up what's his face at the hotel and bring him down to Long Beach where we had this set? I said, sure. So for a whole week I'm picking him up at the Chateau Marmont and taking Donald down to Long Beach. Was about an hour ride. Nice. So I got to hang out with him every day at the beginning and at the end of the day, talking about whatever the hell we were talking about. And the guy's certifiable. No, truly certifiable. I mean, I'm not talking ill of the dead. This guy was just nuts, but in the best sense of the word. He was like 11. He's like hanging out with an 11-year-old, and the mind is just. And just so much fun to be with. So we're doing the scene. It's like the climactic scene in the movie where the big green pit is going, where the devil is being made in this ooze, and it's a big, huge pit. And we're down in a place in Long Beach. It looked like it's going to collapse any second. It's a gigantic, weird kind of warehouse, and it looks like it's made out of paper mache, and the whole place is going to, all 3 stories are going to come down and kill all the actors. It's like oh my God, we have to walk inside this place. And it's like staircases and weirdness. And he's got 8 billion candles lit all over the place. We're going to go up and it's going to burn down, and then it's going to fall down, and we're all going to be dead, at the end of this scene. And we're shooting this thing. And of course, they shoot it on Donald first. And he's got the big green slime going behind him, and he's and the devil is coming, and he's going to get you. And we got to protect you. We got to, he's doing this whole big speech, big, beautiful speech, right? And all 8 of us are on the other side of him, maybe 10 of us, I'm not sure, but we're all standing here listening to the speech about what the devil's going to do. And then they turn it around. They turn the camera on. I got 2 cameras all going on all of us over his shoulder, right? And so they go, and action. And Donald goes, the devil is gonna, and we're all going, trying not to laugh as he's just doing every face he's got in the book, trying to crack one of us up.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so much fun. And so hard not to laugh at him because Donald Pleasance, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That's
love that.
cool. That's cool. He stuck around. I often hear horror stories of I think there was like on the waterfront of the story where like Brando did the big scene where I'm a contender. I could have been a contender. Scene.
Yeah, with Rod Steiger.
And then I guess he left. Like when Brando's close up was done, he left. So like Steiger had to do it with the production assistant or something like that. Like it was a weird, and he was like really angry about it. Because you should give the respect to your actor to be there for the flip side of it.
Well, the story I heard was that Kazan told Brando in that scene that it wasn't working very well. So he said, listen, gave him a gun. He said, put it in his pocket. He said, pull it out in the middle of it. He's talking to his brother. His brother, come on, could have been a contender. I mean, you should have stuck up for me. You should have been my guy. You should have been working there. And he said, well, and what's his face with the nose is his brother, and he's saying, well, I tried, and he should have done something like that. And he pulls the gun on him. And the moment like he goes, what? Like, you're my brother. What are you pulling on gun? It was like, he didn't say anything. He just pulled the gun on him, right? In the scene. And the reaction on what's his name's face was like exactly what Kazan wanted, And he wanted this astonishment of how dare, that's one of the stories I heard. So he must have been there for that scene.
Yeah. Okay.
I never heard that he wasn't there for the scene.
I heard rumor. I could be wrong, but I heard rumor that like when his close up was done, he just left Steiger to like kind of do it with an AD or whoever was like there to be his like to play off of. I could be wrong, but I thought I heard that. Brando is a weird dude where he's super talented. I think the reputation of Brando is bigger than him, so to speak, what he kind of became. And a lot of things like that, you'll see that people just tell a story about him being difficult because it fits his mold, so to speak, because he's probably got to be one of the, if it's real or not, but in talk, he's probably one of the most difficult actors, supposedly, you know what I mean, to deal with. That's what I hear.
I never worked with him. I just admired him from afar. I saw everything he did. It was always the front of acting for my whole generation.
Yeah.
I mean, James Dean and Marlon Brando were the guys, Later on, it was Paul Newman and Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. Mm-hmm. Those guys all came of that ilk. But Streetcar, if you see Streetcar, or if you see On the Waterfront, or if you see One-Eyed Jacks, or if you see Zapata, or anything that Brando did, even when he directed himself.
Fugitive Kind, I think, good flick.
He just, even in something like I think it was called The Formula, where he's working with Patton, what the guy who played Patton, George C. Scott.
Okay.
And he turns to him and he goes, in the middle of the scene, there's some candies on the table. He just reached down and goes, milk dud. You know, and he hands him a milk dud. I mean, Godfather, come on.
Yeah.
Just he could behave. He just
Yeah.
behave. He would behave, and you just wish you had the freedom to behave when 50 guys and a camera are all staring at you in this intimate little moment with yourself. When he's with Eva Marie Saint and on the waterfront, and he's walking with her in the park, and he takes her glove and he puts it on his hand, you know, her glove, and you go, oh my God! It's like Walter Hill directing in Streets of Fire, the scene when I forget the actor's name now. James Raymar is on the subway with his girlfriend, and he terrorizes the graduate the people are going to the prom. He scares them all off, and one girl drops her gardenia, you know, and he reaches down on the ground and he picks it up and he hands it to his girlfriend. You know, it's a tender little moment for this guy who's like a thug, and he takes this little tiny flower and hands it to his girl, and it's such a tender moment. Same with the glove on it's when you juxtapose those kind of moments, and those, I think those come out of behavior, just actors' behavior that see something and go with it. Accidents, practically, not accidents, but I don't know, they're thoughtful accidents.
Right. Streets of Fire is like, it's a beautifully shot film. It looks like it was very complicated to make, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a musical as well as like
the entire back lot at Universal. The entire back lot was made with the train up ahead and the whole, it was like huge set, gigantic set, biggest set probably I've ever been on. He's
Walter Hill is the man. I will pop into Walter Hill in a second. When you read a script like They Live, do you understand how groundbreaking it is at the time? Did you guys understand like a lot of people say it's a documentary now, but at the time, do you understand kind of how important that film would become, or is it just another kind of film?
I had no idea what it was. In fact, my wife and I went to the premiere.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting next to each other. The movie ends and we looked at each other like,
yeah.
And they're screaming and yelling. The audience is screaming and yelling, and we're going, I must be too old. I don't get it. And I totally didn't. I didn't for years, you know, until people told me what it was about.
Yeah. It really is like, I love Carpenter's whole filmography, but that one really, you know, there's a couple of them that really stand out, and They Live is like such a wild movie, you know what I mean? Roddy Piper was
fun to make. I know that. It was really fun to make.
It looked like a lot of fun, you know,
my three favorites of John's that I worked on were, well, I liked working on all of them, but I love Village of the Damned. Village of the Damned was the most fun I think I had working on one of John's movies. It was just, we all went off someplace, you know, for a summer, and a beautiful place. And it was just like a little dream vacation. Everybody was, a family was created. It was just such a beautiful group of people. That one, and the same with Ghosts of Mars. We went out to another remote place, which was the Zia Pueblo in New Mexico, and they painted that entire, was a gypsum mine on an Indian reservation in New Mexico. It was white. Gypsum is white, and they painted the entire ground red because it was Mars, you know. And so every day it would rain, and Sandy Carpenter and I had these two little pagers, you know, those little pagers you hook on your belt.
Yeah.
She and I each had one, because I went down and made a deal with the head of the news in Albuquerque, that the only Doppler in all of New Mexico was at this newscast, which is part of the school there or something. And so we never knew when the monsoon would come in every evening between 4 and 7, this monsoon had hit for like a half an hour. Just come down and blast, right? So I made a deal with the newscaster there. Said, we'll put you in the movie if you let us know 15 minutes in advance where this monsoon is going to hit us, right? And so Sandy had a beeper and I had a beeper, and it would go off. Oh my God. And we'd go cut and throw everybody under the tent. We'd have our dinner at that time. The monsoon's pouring down. And as soon as the monsoon was over, everyone was finishing dinner. We put our things away and go back to work. And the 2 girls and the guy with the tanks on their back and the spray, like you're spraying for bugs, you know, one of those big long spray things, they would go back to the set and spray the whole ground red again. You know, I'm just a vision of them painting the ground red every day after dinner. It was such a great movie, to be honest. I mean, I learned so much on that movie. It was so much fun.
Yeah, those are great films. You know.
I shot 36 hours of footage because my character comes on at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm the engineer with Bobby Carradine, and then at the end of the movie, we take them away, right?
Yeah, in the van thing.
And we bring the heroes in, dump them off, and then we're not in the movie again until the end, or we take them away. So, by the way, that train we gave to the Zia Pueblo. They wanted, really? we couldn't remove it. It was like some modern. They said, well, we'll do the cleanup of the whole area if you give us the train. So John gave them the train, and they have it out in front of the Zia Pueblo, like they're selling cigarettes from it. You know, it's a tourist attraction.
And we were talking about having to repaint the set. I always thought that there was a lot of green screen in Ghosts of Mars. I got that vibe, you know what I mean? Like the majority of it was.
I think they pretty much shot everything that was there. It was like they built this set. It was this little town, and I remember. That's what it was. I shot 36 hours of footage with Sean, Sandy Carpenter's assistant. The 2 of us had this camera, and we'd go around and shoot behind the scenes, right? And so I would always try to find a spot out of the way, behind the camera, or out of John's way, not bothering anybody. And one of my favorite things to do was find a spot where no one could see me, and I'd like to start the camera off on John, and you go action, and I'd like to pull into the action, come in close, watch the action, and just before they said cut, back off and go to John again, cut. You know, so I get the whole scene in one shot, right? Yeah, that was one of the things I perfected over the period of time that we were there, and because I'd watch the scene being rehearsed, so I knew how long it would take to get back to him, and so I'd find places to hide. Well, there was this one scene. It's a gigantic scene of the whole town, where all the monsters are coming out of all these doorways, and they're going to meet our heroes in the middle of the street, and this fight is going to ensue or something like that. So there's like 6 buildings, right, and a hill in the back. All these extras are coming over the hill, all made up with this crazy Mars people, and things on their nose and hanging the spikes in their shade, and they look like some misinformed Hell's Angels or something. They're all coming over the thing, and I found this spot up on top where I had to climb this one building, jump across this thing, crawl along the edge, get back up here, and here I am in the corner up on top, and I got a shot of the entire street. I can shoot the whole thing, right? And so I'm up here, warming up, looking at what I'm going to hit and everything else. And I got it here. It's got to be a great fucking shot. And all of a sudden, I watch them all down below, and all of a sudden, I see John go, "How'd you get there?" And I go, "Never mind. This is my spot. I found this spot." He said, "How the hell did you get there?" "No, this is mine." "How did you get there?" And I said, "All right, you got to go over there. You got to climb on the back of that. Then you got to jump across. Then you got to crawl along the edge. Then you got to come up on top of that. Just a minute." He goes over and he does a thing, cuts across, boom, comes up. Then he comes up and he goes, "I can see every entrance and exit from here." I said, "This is my spot." He said, "Get the hell out of here." Gary, bring the camera up. And they hoisted the camera up and they put it on my spot, right? And he shot the whole thing from up there. So that was one of my favorite moments on that movie.
What happened to all that footage of the behind the scenes stuff? Is it just?
Oh, that's the sad part.
Oh no.
So Sony took it.
Oh.
And they made 2 documentaries. One of them is called The Red Dust or something. Then it's called The Ghosts of Mars Backstage. I don't know what they're called. There's 2 things. I got Sean and I both got credit for cinematographer. If you look on my IMDb thing, I have 2 cinematography credits. Both of them are for The Ghosts of Mars, but I never got to edit one moment. I got really good with that camera. I used to bust in on, like Ice Cube would be in there smoking in his trailer with his family. He'd be there. I'd open up and knock on the door and open up the trailer, smoking, come pouring out, and I'd come walking in. Hey, how you doing, Cube? What's going on? Get out of here. Oh, okay, just checking on you. And I'd leave. I used to do that all the time. And I used to play with Cube all the time. He'd drive him nuts.
How is Cube as a person? Good guy?
He's a cool guy. He was so cool. But he'd do this to me. I'd put the camera here to get a cup of coffee. And where's my camera? Who's got my camera? And Cube would go, and I'll go, Cube, where's my camera? That's Mr. Cube, or you can call me Ice. But what camera? I go, you son of a bitch, where's my camera? Give me my camera. Are you going to come into my trailer? No, I'll never come into your trailer again, I promise. All right, here. He'd give me the camera back, but he'd steal it all the time, and my heart would stop every time the camera wasn't missing. Right?
Yeah. So
they took that and they made 2 documentaries out of it, and I never got to learn how to cut a movie. So I was really hoping that was going to be my. But it was great. It was great.
Yeah, they take all that stuff because they feel like you're going to release it or something. There's a lot of up and comers on Ghost of Mars. You got Statham. That was kind of before he really blew up.
Statham. He and I used to play ping pong every day.
Oh, really?
We also had a competition because Sandy had a gym for everybody there to work out. She wanted everyone in shape because they did a lot of physical stuff. Yeah. But they had this rowing machine that was so cool. And Jason and I would have these wars. I did 489 million miles in an hour and a half. And the next day come back. I did 456 billion miles in 37 minutes. We had this competition going on back for everything. I don't care if it was darts. I don't care if it was pool. I don't care if it was rowing machines, ping pong, whatever. I'm very competitive, and so is he. And we would have these wars, the British-American wars. And he's a blast to work with. I didn't see him for like 10 years, and then all of a sudden on a set of, I think it was an Audi commercial for the Super Bowl. Both of us were on it, and we ran into each other again. He was just such a great reunion because I love the guy.
He seems like a really nice dude.
He was not an actor. He was a hustler.
At that point?
He was a street hustler. He used to sell, he did 3-card Monty, beep, 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 pick which one's the peanuts under, and he'd hawk watches. They'd rip off a truck and sell a bunch of watches or plates or whatever the hell they were hawking. He was one of those street hawkers. Really? And Guy Ritchie discovered him and stuck him in lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels or whatever, playing a street hustler. And from then on, camera loved him, and he just moved on. We got him about in his 3rd or 4th movie. Not many. He hadn't done much when he did Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah.
But it was an illustrious cast. I like the whole gang. Ice Cube was so cool.
It's a really fun movie. I know with Village of the Damned, just like a year ago, it got re-released with the gore because for a while, ever since the theatrical, they cut out all
I think I talked on that thing. I think I told some stories about that.
Yeah.
Is it like a
Blu-ray? It was a Blu-ray release.
Yeah, Blu-ray. I think I did one of those things for it, of the commentaries.
Yeah, that version of the film was a long time coming because like a lot of the gore got cut out for the theatrical release. You know what I mean?
Of Village of the Damned?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Well, it was released on the same day of the Oklahoma bombing.
Oh, really?
where they blew up a bunch of children. So
What
our
does that-
movie ends with blowing up a bunch of children. So
That-
nobody wanted to see that.
That's a really good point. I never even thought of that. You know what I mean?
Nobody wanted to see that. Unfortunately, and Universal rushed to get that thing out. You know,
Yeah.
John wanted way more time to work on it. He want to tweak it and finesse it and make it better and make the best movie you can. And Universal, no, I want it tomorrow. I need the money. And it came out on the day of that thing and went right in the toilet. But yeah, I loved working on that movie. That was really a fun movie, and I got to do everything on it. I went up to John early on in that movie, and we were all living in cottages all over Marin County. You know, we all had to, be carted in and bussed into the location every day, either by ourselves or by the company. And whoever had cars there, most of us didn't. We flew in and we were picked up, but we had a few cars, and there were local people that drove us. But I went to John. I said, John, I think I could be a producer. I mean, I'm good with people. I know how I know how to put out fires on the set. I know how to help the deal out. I think I'd be a good line producer. What do you think? He said, really? Well, let's give you a shot. How many days you working this week? Well, I said, well, I'm working Thursday. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. You're going to be assistant caterer. Really? Okay. And so I'm out there cleaning out the tables, wiping up the plates, making steaks for the extras, doing the shit jobs all over for a whole week there, except when I'm working. Then I go do my job. And the next week he goes, you're going to be a second unit set PA on this week. So hold the traffic, release the traffic. I'm doing that, clear out. Another day, I'm office PA. Can you take this down and get some pizza for everybody? Can you take this over there and I'm office PA? And then another week, I'm baby wrangler. I got 10 babies and their mothers to take care of and watch them. And then the next one, the kids as they're growing up, I have to teach. I'm the baby wrangler, but grown up babies. And I'm going to take them down all over town so they'll be in sync, going, we are the kids of the children of the dam. We are in your command. Bump, bump, and like a soldier with his troops, marching all over the town, so they're in perfect sync. So that when they do their stuff, they'll be in perfect sync, right? Yeah. So I'm doing that for a whole week, training them. I did everything on that. One day, my job was to pick up all the laundry from all the cinematographers' cottages, take it down, have the laundry done, bring it back and deliver it in all their cottages, had all their keys, all the things, take them home. Right? The other one, I had to go pick up guys from the airport. Star Wars, what's his name? Robin
Hamill?
Hamill at the airport. I go, what are you picking me up for? You got a bigger part than me. I said, I'm the office PA today. Welcome to the set. I take them all the way, take them up to Mount Vision to look at the whole place first. And then I take them to their apartment and I give them the fruit and flowers and welcome to our set. And I did the same with Michael Pare. Yeah. I did it with Linda Kozlowski. I did it with, what's her name? Ali Sheedy, Chrissy Ali. I'd pick him up at the airport and drive him. Another one, I was Daly's driver. Oh, that's the most terrifying job on a movie.
Yeah.
You gotta, as soon as they wrap, you have to get all the film. You have to race it to the Oakland airport to get it on the plane in time for it to go down there. Pick up the other footage that's on the plane, bring it back to the Lucas Star Ranch there. And so there's 20 people waiting for you to watch the footage from yesterday, right? And if the traffic is bad, you're if the plane is late, you're it's like, oh, there's the most stressful job I think I ever had, trying to know that the director, the writer, the producer, and the cameraman, and the makeup person, and everybody's waiting for you to see this film from yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And you got the film. It's like terrifying. I hated that job. I did it for a week. I said, John, that's it. So at the end of the thing, or even when the movie ended, everybody flew home, including John, and 5 of us stayed to do the beauty shots. So it's the cameraman, Jeff, the Jeff Amata, who's the stunt coordinator, Sandy Carpenter, Gary Kibbe, and me, and we're showing good beauty shots of this and that, and of the elk. We try to make the elk run. You can't make elk do anything; they're just going to do whatever they do. Jeff Amata and I are going, trying to chase the elk around this field to get them to aim at the camera. It was very frustrating shot, that one. But we're getting all the beauty shots of the whole area, and when we're finished, I'm going, you're not getting the best shot. Mount Vision, where I took everybody to see. No, we haven't got time. We're leaving. And so we hop in the car. We're supposed to be going back. I drove him up there. I just kidnapped him. I said, I drove him much better to the top of him. And Gary goes, oh my God, look, you can see the entire, oh my God, this is, set the camera up here. And the sun's setting, right? And they shot this beautiful shot of Tamales Bay with the estuaries of Sir Francis Drake Bay, San Francisco Bay bridges over here. And the sun is setting on the ocean over there. It's absolutely gorgeous shot, right? And Gary said, oh, that's the greatest shot. Bo, watch the sunset. And he said, all right, pack it up, we're leaving. I said, no. You're going to miss the explosion. He said, what explosion? We got the shot. Get out of here. Go. I said, no, have a cigarette. Wait 10 minutes. Watch this. Just wait. Keep the camera there. And all of a sudden, the sunset explodes over the ocean and this orange thing hits. And Gary goes, oh my God, turn the camera on. And don't you know, the movie opens with that shot, and there's another shot of it later on in the movie. And I was very proud of that. Those two shots.
I love that. Alex, I feel like I'm hogging the microphone. I know you have some questions. I'm always a microphone hog. Yeah.
Hey! I'm loving everything. I mean, the last thing I want to do is jump in and mess up the flow. But I mean, as Matt and I both said, I mean, we both have been huge fans of yours for forever. And I mean, I gotta say, one of my favorite movies is Brewster's Millions.
Chuck Fleming, Action News, the big story.
Yeah. and I was wondering how was that experience? I mean, working on that.
Well, it's Walter Hill again, Walter.
Yeah,
was the greatest. I got to see a lot of really fun stuff. Working with Richard, of course, and John Candy. Come on, nobody's more fun than those two guys.
Yeah.
The one thing I remember was a scene in front of the Plaza Hotel in New York, and Richard got the money and he pulls up, and Chuck Fleming goes running down to the thing. Chuck Fleming, Action News. Mr. Pryor, Mr. Monty Brewster, what are you going to do with all that money? And he go, in the business. What kind of business would that be, Mr. Brewster? That would be general business. And Danny Moore, the costume runner, the thing has dubbed me general business ever since that moment, right? But in the middle of that scene, and Walter always, you stick to the script with Walter. I mean, you never get to, I say, Walter, what if I said this here? He said, oh, that's a great idea. No. You always, every time you try to add something, and it doesn't mean he won't. He always would say, oh, that's a great idea. No. So I'm just used to him saying, but in this one scene, when the cab pulls up, and a limo pulls up, and out jumps Monty Brewster, and I go running down to him. John Candy's not even in the scene. He's not even in. He's sitting over in a director's chair off on the side there. And as the camera comes up, I go running down. Chuck Fleming, John Candy comes running into the scene. He goes, Chuck Fleming? Oh my God, I love you, Chuck. Oh, hey, are we on TV right now? Oh man, hey, all those people didn't think I was going to make it up yet. And we're just standing there like going, that was Monty Brewster's catcher. Anyway, and we go on with the scene, right? It's in the movie. It's in the movie, because when John Candy does something, how can you cut that out? It was just too much fun.
John Candy is by far one of my biggest inspirations. I love him, and I mean, everything I read about him, everything I see about him is that he was such a great person and actor, and always brought so much to everything he did.
Yeah.
True. As far as I know, true.
I know Candy's always, like Alex was saying, you always hear these really great stories about Candy. I actually heard one, I was reading one yesterday about a PA or a grip was putting lights away on the set, and he said, hey, can you help me out? And he's like, this big guy just came over. I didn't know who he was yet. Like, it was earlier in his career or whatever. And he said this guy was just helping him out. And then a PA came over and said, Mr. Candy, we need you on set. And he was like, oh, that's John Candy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah, dude, John Candy, very tragic tale, dude. His whole Candyman had he passed really young when you think about it, at the height of his deal. It's kind of
he had a lot of things going for him.
He
did. Weighed a lot. He drank a lot. He smoked a lot, and he wasn't about to slow down.
No.
But, that movie, I had a couple of the hardest things I ever had to do in a movie, and the most pressure I ever felt, because you always feel a little pressure when they say action. It's all on you. Everything else doesn't matter because the camera's on you and you have to do whatever you have to do. But and usually I'm pretty good with the pressure, and I try to bring my joy of doing it to mask the pressure of nerves or whatever the else is going on. But there were two scenes, one in particular in Brewster's Millions, when Monty Brewster's lost all of his money and he's down on his luck and the whole thing is over. And I'm on the street at rush hour for the theater at 44th and Broadway. And they've paid for that big thing up on the New Year's Eve ticker tape thing that tells you what's going on or whatever. They've rented that for a certain period of time, like 10 of 8 that evening, to have a scroll going down. Monty Brewster loses all his money. He's a piece of shit and the world sucks. And Monty Brewster, blah, blah, blah. Whatever they wrote up on the thing, right? That's going to happen at an exact time. At that exact time, the camera is set up across the street, so it's got me standing on the corner. And in the background is this thing playing. So it's got to see me and it and the crawl, and everyone's going into the theater. So it's a mob scene at 10 of 8 in the evening on a Wednesday night. And it's Broadway, It's packed with people. Plus there's a movie set going on there. So these are more looky-loos there. And I'm standing on this corner and I've got to say, well, Monty Brewster just did this, and he said, if he had done it, blah, 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 blah. And Monty Brewster brought his baseball team over here to Hackensack, New Jersey, where they play the New York Yankees, and and I got this huge speech. And if I screw up this speech, 1,000 people have to come back tomorrow night, Plus you got to rent the thing again and do the thing over. Yeah. And the next night, not take 2, the next day. Right. So just before they say action, Walter always comes up to me and goes, oh, by the way, don't forget to mention that the Hackensack Bulls are on the helicopter coming over there to play. And then you walk over there. Oh, and don't forget to mention that there's going to be a baseball game over there. It's going to be in New Jersey at the stadium. Oh, and don't forget to he come over 2 or 3 times and add little thing to your speech. It's not in your speech. You got it memorized, but now you got to add this and this and this, right? So they say action, and I go right into my thing and boom, and you mean your heart is pounding out of your chest, and your mind is way ahead of your mind, and you're just like trying to just be Chuck Fleming. Action news, the big story, and what's really in the story is I'm about to die and go to hell if I screw up. And you do the thing, and boom, and you get it right because the adrenaline's pumping, and it's just so much fun to do that one. And then about a month before that, we're in Battery Park, and it's the arrival of the Hackensack Bulls and a helicopter, three helicopters, and they come flying in with a marching band, with a fleet of taxi cabs, with hundreds of extras, And I'm standing in the middle of this one again. Hi, this is Chuck Fleming, Action News. The big story is the Hackensack Bulls are flying in from New Jersey, where they're going to play the New York Yankees. And here's the band playing over here, and over here is the this and that, and everything in Battery Park. I mean, there's literally 1,000 people in this shot. And once again, Walter comes up. Don't forget to mention the time of the game. Don't forget to mention that the Hackensack Bulls have never played. Don't forget to mention that. And he throws in 3 or 4 new things, you know, and you're going, God help me. If you've ever been good to me, be good to me now. And action. Hey, Chuck Fleming, action. And you got to do the whole thing again. Man, oh man. And you got to do it in one take. If you don't do it in one take, we're back tomorrow.
Wow.
You know, with helicopters.
That's
and buses and marching bands. And the only thing I did good, I had a good friend, Mike Hanley, with this Hanley family. They've always been great pals of mine in New York. And his 2 daughters and son came out to, you know, wanted to see the shooting. I said, come on over, stand right over here, because I think you're going to be in the shot. And so they're standing off on the side watching everything. And I told them, stand right there. And because when they come around, boom, you're going to be in the shot. And they said, oh, great. And I didn't tell them. I just told them where to stand. And sure enough, they've watched that movie 1,000 times because they are in the shot. Yeah. That was really fun.
That's classic. You know, another Walter Hill film that I really enjoy, 48 Hours, of course, you know what I mean?
Well,
comedic gold, you know what I mean? The great Eddie Murphy, who seems to be like the epitome of cool when he was, you know what I mean? There was none cooler.
He was nervous as Nelly.
Really?
It was his first movie.
Yeah.
He'd never made a movie.
Right. And he was nervous. I assumed he would be, but I figured he was so calm, cool, and collected.
Everybody says, oh, you guys must have ad-libbed that whole scene. Walter wrote every word. We did it exactly the way Walter said.
Yeah.
Word for word.
He got the famous Black Russian joke in there, you know what I mean?
I got a million Black Russians served to me after that.
Hell yeah, it's the official.
Everywhere I went, hey, there's a Black Russian sent by table 7. Thank you. I don't drink, but thank you.
Yeah. You know, humor, you know, that's almost a joke that probably wouldn't fly nowadays, you know, because the climate's changed. And whenever I see a joke like that in like an older, like an 80s or 90s film, I never take it as somebody being racist or whatever. I look at like jokes kind of gets everybody laughing together, you know what I mean? And it's more of a unity thing, I think, than dividing, you know what I mean?
It was a racist joke.
It was a racist joke, but I don't think
there's a bad guy say you best have a Black Russian. Oh, black is a black guy getting.
Yeah.
There's my bar report. If that ain't racist, nothing is. I was a racist bartender. In fact, most reviews call me the racist bartender.
You know, in a situation like that, would Eddie have any reservations about something like that, or is it just kind of go with the flow? It's on the page, so you got to do it type deal.
You know, when you're making your first movie.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. You
know, you do what they tell you.
Yeah.
And Nick took him under his wing, and Nick helped him a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was he was I think terrified. He had a way of covering up that terror, which was, you know, didn't talk to anybody, didn't, you know, he was but you can feel the nerves, you know.
Yeah. He plays it super cool. I mean, that's a testament to his acting.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Oh, he's great at it. He's great at it. There's a new sheriff in town. His name is Reggie Hammond. Y'all be cool.
Yeah, they're doing another one too. I guess there's another Beverly Hills Cop going to Netflix soon. You know what I mean? No. I'm going to talk to him and I'm going to give you a call.
Let him know.
Yeah.
Let him know I made his career.
I know you worked on The Karate Kid, another gigantic film at the time. You know, how was that? John G. Avildsen. What's it like to work with John G?
They cut my scene out. I have one little bit in there.
Coach.
I played the coach.
Yeah.
And the kid trips him playing soccer. And I come over and they start fighting, and I come over and I kick him off the team. That's the only scene that's left in the movie. There was another scene where he comes into my office the next day and apologizes, blah, 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 blah. I let him back on the team. But that scene's not there. That scene's cut.
Yeah.
But you know, it was great. I got to meet Chad Lowe, who was Rob Lowe's kid. But it was a fun show to do. I was only there for a couple of days, so
that's a classic one too. So
yeah,
Walter Hill being like a
Mortal Kombat got a lot of mileage too. That was a
Mortal Kombat's a good flick. I like that a lot.
I love doing that little scene at the beginning there of that thing when I morph into what's his name, the Asian guy, Carrie Elwes.
Yeah, I think so.
He comes over and I give him the scroll to go fight on. I'm sitting in his chair with my sunglasses on. And he goes, "Excuse me, sir, you're in my chair." "Oh, Mr. Boyd, yeah. Oh, listen. So you got to fight next Easter over on an island in Guam. Here, good luck." And I get up and I walk away and get morphed into Carrie. It was the first time, at least the first time I knew of, that they morphed anybody, right? So they didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Technically, they knew how to do it. We shoot with nobody there. Then we shoot with you walking. Then we shoot with him walking. Then we shoot with nobody there. Then we take the 4 pieces of film and we erase you on one side and we erase him on the other, and you're morphed in. That's the concept. But to actually have it timed so that your walking and his walking are in perfect sync, they didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So they had a metronome. So walking on the metronome thing, right? And it wasn't working. It wasn't working. It wasn't working. And finally I told Carrie, I said, you see that little bubblegum spot on the ground there? I said, I'm going to hit that on my 10th step. I said, you should hit it on your 10th step and we'll see what happens. And so I did. I hit that thing, boom, on my 10th step. He hit that thing, boom, on his 10th step. It was a perfect match. So that's the way we morphed for the first time. After that, I'm sure I don't know how they, in the Matrix and all that other stuff where they morph it and do everything, where they technically have it down to a computer art. But in those days, it was like, you go to the Studebaker, do a button hook, and I'll hit you along. It was like kids playing football on the street. Go down to the Hudson there and turn left, and I'll throw it to you, and it was like 2 kids playing. We were 2 kids playing on the thing. I'll go to the bubblegum spot and all the.
Yeah. Speaking of Mortal Kombat being a video game, you've done some voice work for some video games like Fallout and Gears of War and stuff.
Gears of War. Get your head down! Get your head down! You did it! Get your head down! Look out! They're coming! They're coming! They're going to kill you! I hated doing that. God, by the end of the day, I had a headache. Such a headache. I did Gears of War 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3, or 2 and 3 and 4.
I think 2 and 3. I think
2 and 3. But I was the only one to live for 2,000 years, or however long they brought me back for life from.
Well, you lived because you kept your head down. See, that's why you lasted so long.
Put your head down.
Keeping your head down is very important in life.
Oh God.
How do you like that? How do you like doing voiceover stuff? You don't really have anybody to play off of, but
Great. You don't have to shave.
Yeah, exactly. Just show up, kind of. Go in the studio.
I like it all.
Yeah.
I like playing. I just like playing. I like showing up and playing.
Yeah.
I just did one in Arrowhead here 2 weeks ago, a little Hallmark movie where, sweet little Christmas stories, and it was just so great to be on a set. I walked right on. Hi, Pete. Who are you? Hi, I'm good. I meet everybody as I walk in, and then I get to play with them for a week. It's just nothing more fun than that. Creating a family, having a ball, and I love Carpenters. If there's ever a problem on the set, Carpenter would walk over. Excuse me, you guys. I heard some yelling going on. Is there a problem? Oh no, John. Well, actually, we were trying to figure out how to. He said, "Hey, before you even tell me anything, you ever been in a video store? You ever look up on the wall and seen all those videos? It's been done before. Can't be that difficult." And he walk away. And that was always his line. You ever been in a video store? Just the image of 8 billion tapes.
Yeah.
So that was the way he would get through stuff.
I know John's a big video gamer. I know he gets into the gaming, you know. It's good to see you doing the video games because it's almost like video games become almost bigger than like films nowadays. You know what I mean? It's such a huge market.
Well, I got it. Well, here's your buddy John Wayne. That's Rio Lobo.
Yeah. I love it, dude. I love it. True Grit. Word up. True Grit book.
Rio Lobo.
Okay.
And this one over here is the new director you have to watch, Edgar Pablos.
He's on the come up.
He's a new one. He's a good one. He's a goodie.
I like it. I'm digging on that. Alexandra, I know you had more questions.
Yeah. Another.
I hogged the microphone. I hogged the microphone too much, dude.
Hey, dude. I like let you go. You got a lot of stuff. I don't like it. Jump in until you know you've taken a breath. You calm down a little bit. But another great film. You gotta work with Clint Eastwood on Heartbreak Ridge.
Yeah. Yep. Good times. Director, starring and directing, I believe.
Yes, he was. We both got our heads shaved together, and I looked. He got shaved first, and I looked over to him, and he goes boom, and he hits me and knocks me right out of the chair with his left hand. By the way, boom, he went with him. Yeah, and yeah, he was a strong guy. He's we shot over in Sandra. He was going with Sandra Locke at the time, and she had an office at Malpaso. And we shot my scene in her office, and in that office they had the prototype of the thing he invented, which is for the gym, where you stand in it and it's got those pads and you go like that with your arms.
Yeah,
he invented that.
He invented that.
He invented that, wow. And the prototype was right there in her office. But yeah, that guy, I was supposed to play his commanding officer, and the script, we start to rehearse, and he says, all right, let's rehearse. Where's the cigar? And I went, you want a cigar? And he goes, well, the script says you're smoking a cigar. And I said, yeah, well, look at the ceiling. I said, and look at this room, and look at us crowded in here. You want that in here all day? And he goes, let's lose the cigar. And so I think he liked that to begin with. And then I remember the first time we rehearsed it. And then we were going to start to shoot it. And he was talking like this, and he says, and then he becomes the director, and he goes, all right, and action. I went, listen, Highway, let me go, well, I'm going to tell you what. And I started laughing. He goes, what are you laughing about? And I said, well, you can use that voice. And he goes, that's who I do. And I went, I'm sorry, it just cracked me up. You were talking in this one voice, and I'm sorry. He goes, Jesus, all right, take two. But I guess nobody's supposed to laugh at Clint Eastwood's voice.
He's got that Christian Bale Batman voice.
We were talking like this. All right, let's set the camera up over there. Set the camera over there. Ready and action. Oh, so here's what I'm going to tell you. What I'm going to do. I couldn't help it. I just started laughing. I guess nobody laughs at Clint Eastwood.
You gotta be careful with Clint, yeah.
It's Clint Eastwood.
Quite a career.
Mr. Two Voice after that.
I like that. He does have that voice. Nobody ever talks about him. He's good.
I never got tired of that voice, but it shocked me. It just shocked me. Yeah. You hear someone talking and then going to another voice, like, oh, he's going to do that guy. Yeah. Yes, that's who I do. Right.
Yeah. And then you were in the new Jurassic Park film as well.
Oh, that was the greatest. Jurassic was a blast. That's Frank Marshall again.
Yeah.
Producing, and he brought me and my wife over to London for that, because the monsters are shot in Hawaii, but the courtroom scene with Jeff Goldblum and myself was shot in England, and they put us up at the Stoke Park, which was just 1,400-year-old castle. It's a magnificent place with a couple of golf courses. I got to play tennis courts for the first time in my life, and that was the greatest thing about that trip, because I love tennis and I love grass, and I'd never played on it, and so I got to play, and it was just like, oh my God, this is heaven. but I'm tell you one story, and we'll end it with the Jeff Goldblum, who was just the greatest. And so I wake up at 6 o'clock one morning, and I got to go to work for the first time. Right? They've already fitted me and everything else. Now we're going to go to work. So I wake up at 6. I'm down in the lobby. I got a 6:30 pickup, looking for a cup of coffee. No one's awake. The night manager's there. He said, no, it's not. I said, you think you can make me a cup? Yeah, well, let me see if I can do it. And he goes, hello, love. Let me see if I can make one here. And he makes me a cup of coffee, right? And I got a coffee, and I'm sitting there waiting for 6:30 to arrive. And all of a sudden, Jeff Goldblum comes walking down the stairs, hits the top landing there, strikes a pose. And I've never met the man in my life, right? And says, Carnegie Mellon. And he looks at me like that. And I put the coffee down, and I stood up, and I struck a pose, and I went, no, Carnegie Institute of Technology. And he goes, oh my God, how old are you? And he comes down, he goes, did you have Edith? And I said, yes, I did. And Edith Warman Skinner was our speech teacher, right? And anybody who had Edith knows her book, Speak with Distinction. And everybody who Edith ever touched had to learn. And he starts in, he goes, it's a warm wind, the west wind, full of birds' cries. And I go, I never hear the west wind, but tears are in my eyes. And we both go, for it comes from the westland, the old brown hills, and April's in the west wind, and daffodils. It's a fine land, the west land, for hearts as wild as mine. Apple orchards blossom there, and the air's like wine. It's fire to a man's soul, brother, blood to a man's brain. Will you not come home, brother, home to roost again? And we both do it exactly the same way, because that's the way we were taught. And we bonded immediately on that movie, and we had so much fun. I had so much fun working with him. It was great. It was really great.
He seems like a great dude. Well, Peter, we thank you for your time. We usually ask one last question at the end of the show. And it's, there's a lot of our filmmakers, actors, authors, musicians, comedians that watch the show. Do you have any advice for any of them that, they found themselves in a slump, or, kind of keep going, like something inspirational to kind of tell somebody on the come up to kind of keep their morale high? Any advice?
Well, there's a whole history of film and theater available. If you're not doing anything, see a movie. I was talking with some kids the other day, they didn't know who Barbra Streisand was. I came up as a singer, and Barbra Streisand and Whitney Houston are two of the greatest singers of all time. I mean, their phrasing, Frank Sinatra, his breathing. I mean, go back and listen to the people who old people think were the greatest. Ask old people who they think were the greatest, and then watch those people that they thought was the greatest. And then you're going to see stuff you've never imagined, because there's a long history of film and stage and in this country. And if you don't know the history of it, you have no future. You don't know where to go. You think you're inventing something new. Check it out. Go see A Fish Called Wanda if you want a good laugh. Go see The Maltese Falcon. Go see Treasure of Sierra Madre. Go see, there's a million movies you can go see. Watch Spencer Tracy. Watch him play with Katharine Hepburn in several comedies. Go see the history of the film when you've got time off and you're not working. That's what you do when you have time off. That's called work. That's the work you have to do to learn how to play, because you're going to find out there's a ton of shit you don't know about. Learn about it. Go see a movie. My advice. I love you. Thanks for letting me show up.
I support that. Thank you again for being on the show. It was an honor, man.
My pleasure.
It was great. Thanks for coming.
Yes. Have a great remainder of the weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
Have some clam chowder with some lobster in it.
Hey, when you come back this way, we're going to have all three of us are going out for clam chowder.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
All right, Peter. Have a good one. Thank you, sir. Folks, that was a glorious episode with the great Peter Jason. You know what I mean? Thank you for coming on, dude. That was a lengthy interview discussion about a lot of great stuff. Like Alex said before, we've both been fans for forever. a career that is incredibly huge with a lot of great stuff. You know, we touch base on some of our most favorite projects. He's got a whole bunch of other projects that we love too. Maybe we'll get him on again. If just to chat, because he's a good dude, and I'm holding out for that clam chowder, baby. I want some of that clam chowder.
Dude, I hope that whenever he comes in, he hits us up, because heck, clam chowder is on me. Because
that the red or the white? Clam chowder. That's my Ace Ventura line for the movie. Is that the red or the white?
Well, I mean, the thing is that, I mean, he has such a great experience. He's been with so much, and he's such a nice guy. He's told us so many great stories and a lot of great advice. And I mean, admittedly, I mean, like you said, you know, you were hogging the conversation, but a lot of times I was just mesmerized by what he was talking about. And the last thing I wanted to do was to jump in and all of that and mess up the flow, because, you know, there were things that I didn't even think of that he went down a different rabbit hole that, you know, which I'm glad. I mean, this is why we do what we do. And it was a huge honor, and I think I'm speaking for both Matt and myself, that we had the chance of having Peter Jason on the show.
For shizzle. The greatest thing I learned today is that John Carpenter is a fan of bad fish. That was
he's going to actually print up T-shirts and wear them around town now.
I'm not gonna lie, that took away my breath for a couple seconds, because I knowing that it was a joke, and I still it took me back a little bit. That's how incredible that statement was. You know what I mean? But thanks again, Peter, man. Always a pleasure to kind of be in your presence. And hopefully we'll get some more time with you. Anybody out there, go check out Peter's films, man. Like he said, watch films. You know, not even if you're in a slum, man. Just watch films. Films are beautiful. They, you know, we've talked so much about films. There's nothing more else you can say about them. They're just great, and they're good for you. It's medicine for the soul. Watch them. You know what I mean? I can't say enough good things about Peter. This was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed it out there. So if you enjoyed this interview, go check out more interviews on the BoomBastic Media channel on YouTube, and wherever you listen to the BoomBasticAST on your audio podcast format. You know, it's out there on a bunch of different platforms, audio wise, and the YouTube. So check it out. Support us, support Peter, and support yourselves out there, like we like to say. And we hope everybody's having a great time. We'll catch y'all on the next episode of the BoomBasticCAST.
Peace.